Aloha and welcome back. This is Kamaka Brown on the Sandwich Islands Network Radio with the Sin Crew in the house. Make some noise. And Kumi the Wonder Dog. Kumi's looking at me saying, that's right, that's right, that's right. On our Sandwich Island Network Radio hotline, we have Brother Steven Yagyagen. Did I pronounce that correctly, Steven? Correct me.
That's good, brother. Close.
Is that close? Close, but no kankanin. I'm sorry. actually, I know Brother Steven as Boy-san. He is my Facebook friend.
Yeah.
And you know what is, Steven is an author, a poet, and you have a book of haikus that you have already out that's available on Amazon.com. I was just going to check out a couple things over here. Is you started form haiku poems when you started running? Is this true?
I did.
Yeah. How did that? That's kind of like organic. You were running and then you started to think about haikus, or what?
It's funny, Kamaka. You know, I actually learned to write them back in Waialua at the elementary school, right around fourth grade when they taught us that. You know, and kind of tucked it away for years. I mean, every now and then I'd write it, and then. About 2 years ago, I started running again. I stopped for a few years for personal reasons, and then I started running, and all of a sudden, things just started popping at me, like all the nature stuff, the trees, the wind, the breeze, all that stuff. And then haikus just started popping in my mind again. I was like, wow. So I just started writing them, and I started doing it every day, really religiously from summer of 2011, nonstop, until now. And I have this collection that I can probably write, volumes of book on just haiku poems and photos that I take when I run or when I'm out there in the community.
Very cool, very cool. I'm reading here that your book of haikus have a 5-star rating on Amazon. People really like it.
I was blown away. It was kind of, honestly, it was a test because my third book that just came out, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, was, I thought, well, I may as well do the haiku poems because my friends kept saying, if you write the book, we'll buy it. I said, oh, shoot. And then I did, and then all of a sudden I just started to move up in Amazon, little by little, and I was blown away, by the whole experience.
Well, congratulations on your successes of the haikus that you've created, and just within the last 2 weeks or so, your latest project has come to light that we're excited about. Tell us about that, Steven.
Oh my gosh, yeah, the book is called Plantation Prince. It really has evolved. I mean, this was a 30-year, project, It was a labor of love, and it was just about taking me back, talking about the stories growing up in the sugar plantation in Waialua. And when I say Waialua, I include Haleiwa because that's all, the whole community, everybody knows each other pretty much out there. And, there's a lot, of course, like everybody else, there's growing pains, but I didn't want to focus too much on that. I did touch on those things, but what I focused on was more the takeaways from all the growth that we had, as kids growing up on the plantation. And a lot of good stuff, a lot of good memories. So, finally published it on June 20th. I was just ready to do it. It was a whole process because I was changing it from third person to first person, the third person to first person, and then how much to tell, not to tell, because honestly, I'm more of a private person. I'm not one of those guys that shares everything about me on Facebook like we see. But
you mean you don't want to know what flavor Jamba Juice the person just had this morning?
Yeah, really. Or what color baby is wearing. Or whether or not you're wearing it, right? TMI for those guys.
Oh, but, yes.
But, it's, just before I went to publish, my best friend, Jesse, in San Jose said, why don't you just make it first person? And I was like, why? He goes, because it'll really bring it out more naturally. And sure enough, I took almost 200 pages, and I took 3 or 4 days to just rewrite everything from he said to I said, and then my name versus a fictitious name, and everything flowed naturally, which is what I wanted.
Well, the story then that you tell is growing up, plantation life in Waialua, and in the neighborhood there. Is that the gist of the book itself, your adventures and your recollections?
Yeah, a little bit more Kamaka, and I know you're familiar, very, very familiar with the North Shore because you kind of have roots over there too, from what I understand. And we haven't met face to face yet, but I know we talk story a little bit by Facebook and stuff, so it's kind of nice. But for me, it was multicultural, multi-ethnic because my dad is Filipino with some other mixtures, but for the most part he's Ilocano. Came to Hawaii in 1946. Met my mom in 1960, who's Samoan and British, and all other stuff mixed in with her. So they settled in Waialua. They met really. Their first date was at Otake's store. It was a blind date through mutual friends and my mom's cousin, my dad's best friend, and then settled in Waialua. And then for us growing up there, because there are a lot of Koreans, Chinese, Japanese, of course Hawaiians as well. We just all. It's kind of like when you make stew, you just throw everything in the pot and mix it all up, and it's pretty much what it's all about. It's about how we use Pidgin English but to communicate, and we shared food, we shared culture. So for me, the things that really stuck out in my mind that I really latched onto was Japanese culture and Hawaiian culture. Even though I'm Filipino Samoan, as you know, growing up in Hawaii, you can't help it because Hawaiiana is all over the place, and of course Japanese culture too.
So it's there's some humor in there, a little bit, and also some poignant recollections.
Yeah, there is. I can't even think of what comes to mind. I'm looking at my manuscript in front of me, but I probably have to thumb through all the pages.
Well, good. So how can any of our listeners, if we want to pick up a copy of your latest book there, how can they get a hold of it, Steven?
Different places. Really, I self-publish, and I went through Amazon's publishing arm called CreateSpace.com. And if they go to Facebook, they can search, for my name on there, and they can find me as well. And also to Amazon itself, which is their retail site, they sell them. They kind of sell it a little bit under the price of the publisher, which is fine with me. I put a little bit discount. That's okay too. And then eventually it's going to be going to Barnes & Noble and other places. It's all print to order sort of type of thing. When you order, then they print on demand, I should say. When you order, they'll print it and they'll mail it to you. And then it's actually gone international too, which is, with the internet, it's just amazing how things can go, worldwide.
Sure. So our listeners can get hard copies, and there's also digital downloads as well.
That's correct.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So the name of the book again is?
Plantation Prince.
Plantation Prince by Steven Yagyagen. And it's Yagyagan, because our listeners are writing this down. Steven, Yagyagan. This is a brother from the North Shore on the island of Oahu. He's got, you have several books of haikus, right? I mean, you've got...
the first one is a haiku poem, which is Haikus for Life. And the second one is called The Divine Mercy. It's more spiritual.
Okay.
And then, of course, Plantation Prince. And I have 4 more books that are coming out this year as well that I'm working on currently.
Bro, I'm going to use one on $5 word, bro. You stay prolific, eh?
I try. With all the Pidgin English and everything, I have to know how to turn it on and turn it off.
Yeah. same here. You say, oh, bro, you get choked plenty. Thoughts you're going to put down on top that guy.
I do use Pidgin quotes in the book, too. So hopefully our friends that don't understand, they can pick it up. And I kind of talk a little bit about it. But, hey. We'll see how it all rolls. I wanted to just let it unfold naturally.
All I gotta say, bro, is you went public school down Waialua like that, and you come up with that many books like that for haiku, and you the prince and all that. Let me tell you something, bro.
It's funny because I got an email from the librarian at my elementary school, Waialua Elementary.
Oh, really?
they've embraced it. I sent them a copy of my first haiku poems book, and now they're making a big deal out of it back home. And I haven't heard from the high school yet, but I'm sure there's a buzz because I see there's a alumni page for us, Waialua Class of 79 and beyond, all the classes that kind of connect, and people are talking about it and buying the books and stuff. So it's really nice.
Cool.
Yeah, to have that feeling.
Very cool. You know what we're going to do is we're going to put a link to your page on v93fm.com. So any of our listeners who would like to pick up a copy or would like to know more about you can go to v93fm.com, and we're going to put a link so that they can reach out to you and pick up either a hard copy of either your books on haiku or the latest project that you just released, because we definitely want to get our listeners to get a chance to enjoy your writings.
Hey, I'll do one more thing too, Kamaka. If anybody private messages, if they private message me, I'll go ahead and they send me their order. I'll go ahead and do an autographed copy and mail it to them. So I'll tell them how to do that if they private message me as well.
Excellent. Very, very, very good. Steven, what a pleasure talking to you, my brother. We'll definitely keep in touch on Facebook. And next projects that come out, we'll definitely get you on the phone on the Sandwich Island Network Radio, and we talk story and tell us about what's going on. And keep writing, man. We love it.
Mahalo, brother. Thank you so much. I love your show, man.
Thank you very much. The Sin Crews over here, they're all smiling, they're all listening. They're going, they're loving it.
I'll send you guys a copy of the book once I get some books that come in as well. So so just private message me your address and I'll send it to you.
That'd be so honolisi, my brother. Hey, you have a blessed day, my friend, and we will talk to you soon. Ahui ho, bra.
Mahalo, brother. Ahui ho.
Take care.
Bye-bye.